Good morning.
Good morning.
I can't believe I'm standing here right now. It's like a real full circle moment. I had the honor and privilege of speaking at the commencement in June, and now to be able to do this, at my alma mater, in my community, I think it's just something that it was destined to happen, I believe.
Yes.
I don't believe things happen by accident. I'm standing here as the councilman for the 5th Council District, but I'll be remiss if I don't acknowledge, the long lines of council members who fought to desegregate Girard College, right? Starting with the first African American council member in the entire state of Philadelphia, the Honorable Judge Raymond Alexander Pace, right? It was he who, as a member of city council, put forth resolution after resolution to call on the city to desegregate this great institution. It was he who was the brilliant legal mind behind some of those battles, but it was Cecil B. Moore who fought those battles, right? Cecil B. Moore, ever since I first enrolled in Girard, we learned about, I learned about, I'll say, the history of what this school really is, right? And he became a role model to me. Although he had long been deceased, he was someone that I looked up to because he had the courage to do what's right. He stood for what we all stand for, which is justice and equality and inclusion. And in his North Philadelphia community, he made sure that his voice was heard. Whether you agree with him or disagree with him, you had to respect him because he was out to seek justice for his community. Some folks didn't agree with his tactics. He was a little brazen at times. But sometimes you gotta roll your sleeves up to get right in the face of folks when you want to see change.
Right.
And I think that is what Girard College has taught me. And just from looking at the classes before me, the classes after me, I see that legacy of getting in your face and saying what's wrong and fighting for what's right is what this school is built on. So I want to thank the current students that are here today because you are continuing that legacy. Continue to be proud of who you are. Continue to fight for what's right in our communities. We look around here, and this neighborhood looks a lot different than when I was here. I graduated 20 years ago. But it seemed like yesterday because I remember every single moment as I was here. The camaraderie, the love that you get when you're a student at Girard College, this is family, right? No matter what year you graduated, you are family, right? And we have to, as family members, we stick together and we honor those who fought for us. So that's what we're doing today. We're honoring those freedom fighters who made it possible for me to be standing here today. I enrolled in Girard when I was in 7th grade. I actually was to come in the 6th grade. I told my mom I don't want to come yet, right? But things happen for a reason because that year before I enrolled in Girard, my mom was in a terrible car accident, but she had to learn how to walk, talk, eat. She was in rehab for about 6 months. And so when I enrolled in Girard, my mom was still in rehab. She literally could not take care of me. And so this place was my saving grace, as I like to say. Because where would I be but for coming to Girard, right? A kid lost on the streets of North Philadelphia. But this institution provided me that environment that nurtures learning, that nurtures community, and nurtures you to find your voice. And that's what the freedom fighters did for me. That's what they did for all of us who are up here. They helped us figure out who we are and put forth that effort to be our greatest selves. And I actually want to thank the students at Germantown Friends for writing me to change this street to name it after one. They want to name it after Freedom Smith, right? So I want to put that out there. I wanted to honor all of the freedom fighters who who marched this wall to make sure that their voices were heard. They were teenagers. They were your age when they marched this wall and faced dogs, hoses, police brutality. Teenagers faced that in order to allow all of us to be enrolled in this school. So I want to honor that courage, because all social movements start with the youth. Remember that. Keep that in mind. All change start with young people. And so with that, I just want to say, again, I'm honored and privileged to be here. I just really think that things are not coincidental when you believe in yourself, when you understand history, you want to make sure that you do right in your community, and you will be rewarded by your community. And so this is a reward to those freedom fighters, right? All of you who stood here, this is a reward to those who first integrated Girard and withstood those hard challenges. I can't imagine what that was like being here in the 70s as the only African Americans on this campus. I can't imagine what that's like. But your tenacity, your bravery led the way for us to be here, and for numerous other Girard alumni who are doing great things in this world to be here. Minority alumni who are doing great things in this world to be here. And with that, I wanted to welcome President Hardy up to the podium, who's going to deliver some welcome remarks.
A year and a half ago, and one of the best things that happened to me when I first got here was that they had this election for city council. And this guy won the election. And he said he wanted to come meet me. So the city councilman wants to come meet me. And he had great news. He's a Girard grad. Wow. How about that? I'm so proud of this young man.
Yes.
I am very proud of this young man. He epitomizes all the great things about Girard. You'll see him in all these other children, but you'll see it come to fruition with a guy like him. I want to thank Councilmember Young for being here, and for all of you for being here today in this important occasion where we recognize the freedom fighters and the courage, sacrifice, and resilience that they had to make it possible to integrate Girard. We gathered here today to reflect on a pivotal chapter in history, the fight for civil rights and desegregation of Girard College. This is a moment not just about changing policies for one institution. It represents a broader struggle for justice, equality, and the very essence of American democracy. The freedom fighters understood that education is a fundamental right, one that should not be denied based on race. That includes the wonderful gift that Stephen Girard left the city of Philadelphia, a gift that needed to be shared by all. One of our most distinguished alums, Charles Hicks, and his younger brother Ted, were two of the plaintiffs of the lawsuit that the city and state officials filed in 1965 to end the racial ban at Girard College. Civil rights attorney Cecil B. Moore, then president of the NAACP, organized 7 months of protests outside the walls while the lawsuit made its way through the court system. In September 1968, Ted Hicks and 3 other young men, William Day, Carl Riley, and Owen Gowans, became the first black students to enter Girard College. A few months later, Charles was admitted to Girard, and in 1974 became the first black student to graduate from the school. Charles passed away in 2021, but he was a successful engineer consultant who supported STEM outreach and mentoring programs for students. And every year, 2 Girard students are selected to attend NASA's Space Camp in Alabama through funds that Charles established to encourage students to pursue STEM careers. We're continuing to produce outstanding graduates who are pursuing careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. Students like Hadass Ali, who grew up right here in the Sharswood Projects. Das was a recipient of the Charles Hicks STEM Award when she graduated last June, and she's now a freshman majoring in engineering at Trinity College in Connecticut. Brandon and Brendan Curtis, twin brothers from the class of 2024, are majoring in biology at Holy Cross University in Massachusetts. And Atia Harmon, 1999 graduate of Girard, founded Black Girls Love Math, a nonprofit organization that offers after-school programs to help black girls excel in math and encourages them to pursue a STEM career. These are just a few examples of the amazing black alumni that the freedom fighters helped make their success possible. The achievements of our students demonstrate the immeasurable impact of the philanthropy of Stephen Girard and his commitment to ensuring that young people receive a high-quality education. The freedom fighters we are honoring today have paved the way for future generations of Girard scholars to experience the transformative education that our school offers. To quote Dr. Stephen Spencer, an African-American student who graduated from Girard in 1994, he has a quote that's fitting this occasion. Quote, "People might think my story is not what Stephen Girard had in mind when he founded the school, but that couldn't be further from the truth. All my Girardian brothers and sisters come from a place of struggle in one way or another, and the legacy of this school is that they have the opportunity to be lifted out of the struggle and build a better future for themselves and those around them." As we move forward, we will be forever grateful to the freedom fighters and carry their legacy into the future, making education the beacon of hope for all. Thank you very much.
It's actually an incredible honor to be here today, and to have just a small part in memorializing the actions of the freedom fighters. As a teacher, I've seen and experienced the tremendous power of the oral tradition in many ways and many times throughout my career. When children have the opportunity to hear the stories of others that provide new perspectives and highlight extraordinary experiences, the results can be remarkable. To see our students be inspired and make this mark with their efforts, this is where I'm gonna cry. As a teacher's dream come true, right? So remember how hard you worked? You had to write many drafts. You had to think about how to be specific and include your because to support your ideas. And we discussed the need to perhaps politely suggest to the councilman that this would be a nice idea instead of telling him what you thought he should do. Councilman, I am so proud of you. I sincerely want to thank Ken Salam for coming to Germantown Friends School, for being such a dynamic storyteller, and for igniting the kids, igniting the children's passion and their sense of fairness and justice and action. I want to thank my colleague and mentor, Diana Gomez, who is the real cog behind all this stuff that happened. She knew Ken, she invited him to come back and speak with us. She figured out where we should send letters, and she responds to people in a timely manner, which can be hard for me. So we would not be here without you. I want to thank all of the storytellers, photographers, filmmakers, writers, who took exceptional care to record the stories of Cecil's people for the future generations. And of course, I want to thank all of the freedom fighters for having the courage courage and bravery to fight for change over and over again. And to all of the students here today, the freedom fighters didn't do what they did because they thought, hey, maybe someone will name a street after me, or someone will make a documentary, or maybe a TikTok will go viral. They did it because it was the right thing to do. Because they believed in justice and equality for everyone, for themselves and for others. Because they had hope and faith that change was possible. So a reminder that when we take action with integrity and conviction and determination, and when we care deeply about the outcomes for everyone in our community, when we do something, it matters. So thank you.
And now we're going to hear from, as we call it, the first four.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carl Riley, and I was one of the first four to integrate the school. On behalf of the heartfelt thanks to you all, because without you, I wouldn't be where I am today. So thank you. So I did prepare a little 1-2 minute speech here, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow students, y'all are family to me. All right? Whenever I come back to Gerard, I feel that love. Always. You'll always be family to me. We gather here today to honor the unwavering spirit of the freedom fighters, whose resolute marches around these walls in the 1960s forged a path toward integration and equality. Their courage transformed the landscape of inclusion into a beacon, of exclusion into a beacon of hope and change. As a member of the first class to integrate Gerard, I stand here as a testament to your legacy. Their actions were a catalyst for progress, a shining example of how determined individuals can alter the course of history. But their journey was not easy. It was filled with resistance, sacrifice, and a relentless dedication. These men and women not only were fighting for the rights of a few students to attend the school, they were challenging the system of segregation and inequality that permeated our society at large. I remember the marches around here. I live right at 818 North 20th Street. And having people come around and just join the marches just because they wanted to integrate this school who's been segregated for over 100 years. You know, it was a very difficult time back then, but it was definitely worthwhile. Today's renaming of the street is more than a symbolic gesture. It's a tribute to those who dared to challenge the status quo. And a reminder that the pursuit of justice is a path we must all walk together. It's a call to future generations, I see future generations here, to keep pushing forward, no matter how hard. Never accept inequality or injustice. May the streets serve as a lasting tribute to their bravery and an enduring call to action for each of us, to carry forward their mission of equality and justice. Let us walk this path forward together, inspired by their courage and commitment to continuing the work that they began. So thank you once again. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It is a good day to be back at Gerard College. My name is Owen Gowans III. I was one of the four that entered Gerard College back in 1968. And I say to you young people, decide what you want to do. I talked to you earlier, the 11th graders, do make the decision of what you want to do for the future. But we're here to celebrate with the freedom fighters who walked this wall, who stood and took all that came their way. I recognize Cecil Moore because back in 1979, I had the opportunity to speak at his homegoing service. And I said these words, and it was just from my heart that I wanted to thank Mr. Moore for what he did for us. And because of Mr. Moore and the NAACP and the freedom fighters and all those that sacrificed and walked these walls, I'm able to stand. That day, I didn't know where exactly I was going, but I went on to Girard. I went on to Westchester University. From there, I graduated, and then found a career with SEPTA. And guess what, y'all? 31 years later, this brother stands before you. I retired as of September, with 31 years as a manager with a college degree. So the education that you get from Girard College will take you far. Take it, use it. I'm talking to the youth now. Y'all helped. I know you good, but you're good. But I say to you, take it, use it, and run with it. To the freedom fighters, thank you. Thank you for all that you did. To Girard College, hail Girard. Thank you. It's good to be back home.
Then we'll hear a selection from the Girard College Choir. Then we'll hear a selection from the Girard College Choir.
Somebody calling my name, calling me to take a stand and to make a change. Calling on my, all of my beliefs. If we don't learn from our mistakes, then we're bound to repeat. We gotta walk together, hand in hand. We gotta make the world love and spirit. So we're ahead, not the tail, we're above, not beneath. Every morning the conqueror, let me hear you scream. We shall overcome. We're more than a conqueror. We're more than a conqueror. We shall overcome. We're more than a conqueror. We're more than a conqueror. We shall overcome. We're more than a conqueror. We're more than a conqueror. We shall overcome. We're more than a conqueror. We're more than a conqueror. We shall overcome. We're more than a conqueror. We're more than a conqueror. We shall overcome.
I just want to say, so just to be here today and see a street name in the honor of these people is truly special for me. I just want to say thank you for fighting against injustice and giving me and those after me the blueprint on how to stand up for what is right, to stand up for truth. As Brother Mel Dorm told me, he said, "We knew you were coming, We fought for you before we knew your names. You know, and they truly changed my life. They've been so involved, and when I did a gun violence campaign, they were there. They let me and my classmates interview them. So, you know, I just want to say, I'm not sure if this entire world can ever change 100% the way we want it to, the way it should be, but I believe that every change is important, no matter small or big, and that's what I learned from these phenomenal people. So I just want to say thank you for your sacrifice and your labor, and you deserve this. Thank you.
Thank you for those remarks. And now we're going to hear from a few of those freedom fighters who was out here day after day enduring, I'll say, abuse. I'll say from the stories that Ms. Karen has told me. You know, I for one to say that I probably would not have been able to be in those shoes to withstand some of the brutality they face, the harassment they face, even the threats that they face, even from their parents, right? So, you know, the things that they've endured is, like Mr. Gross just said, they did things with folks who they wouldn't even know their names. But, you know, I respect you, I appreciate you all, and I want to give you your flowers. I wish we could have done this earlier, but I think, like I said, things happen for a reason. As a Girard alum, I just really am just so thankful and grateful for the things that you have done for us, to be able to create a legacy of greatness for us. I mean, you have done some things that have been able to lift generations out of poverty, right? Because I've gone to this school, I now have the ability to create generational wealth for my son, and his son, and his son, and his son, right? So thank you so much for doing what you have done, and I'm going to turn it over to the freedom fighters. Thank you for those remarks. And now we're going to hear from a few of those freedom fighters who was out here day after day enduring, I'll say, abuse. I'll say from the stories that Ms. Karen has told me. You know, I for one to say that I probably would not have been able to be in those shoes to withstand some of the brutality they face, the harassment they face, even the threats that they face, even from their parents, right? So, you know, the things that they've endured is, like Mr. Gross just said, they did things with folks who they wouldn't even know their names. But, you know, I respect you, I appreciate you all, and I want to give you your flowers. I wish we could have done this earlier, but I think, like I said, things happen for a reason. As a Girard alum, I just really am just so thankful and grateful for the things that you have done for us, to be able to create a legacy of greatness for us. I mean, you have done some things that have been able to lift generations out of poverty, right? Because I've gone to this school, I now have the ability to create generational wealth for my son, and his son, and his son, and his son, right? So thank you so much for doing what you have done, and I'm going to turn it over to the freedom fighters.
Good morning to all of you. Good morning. We thank you so much for coming out and for being a part of this awesome, humbling experience. I wrote a list. I wrote a list. I don't have a big speaker. But what I would like to do is share with you the names of our ancestors who marched with us and who are no longer with us. I start out by addressing my sister, Deborah Louise Mills Batchelor. And I start out addressing her because at 14 years old, when Frank Rizzo forced or allowed the state troopers and the horses and the dogs to run the pavement, she was one of the first casualties at 14 years old. Since Debbie passed February of this year, so I honor her by bringing her first on my list. There are many people who came out and participated, but there was a small group that continued for 7 months and 17 days. As I said, Deborah Mills Batchelor, Ulysses Charles Grant, Ronald Dwight Campbell, George Madison Browser, Mr. John McKenzie, Henrietta Sullivan, Mr. Billy Paul, Honorable Cecil Bassett Moore Esquire, Mel Dawn Sheffron, Mr. Georgie Woods, Mr. William R. Miller IV, James Spivey, Henry Reddy, Bertha Russell, Christine Cord, Lieutenant George Fensel, Mrs. Leacock, Bertie Palmer, Marie Johnson, Barry Dawson, Freedom Frank, Freedom Arnold, Freedom Winston, Walt Rosenbaum, Mr. and Mrs. Miles and their daughter Terry, Sister Sarah L. Mills, my mother, Reverend Shepherd, Reverend Paul Father Washington, Dr. Edward Robinson, Stanley Vaughn, Mattie Humphrey, Leonard Hill, Braswell, and Stanley Grant. I thank you so much, and I ask that you keep our ancestors in memory of the freedom fighters. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. Bernice just set me up to cry, and then they asked me if I want to speak. But what I'd like to say is that, in keeping with what you said about your dad, in terms of giving us information and what it is that we should do, I just recall Cecil saying to me, little girl, you gotta go to law school because I'm not gonna be here to take care of our people. And we're gonna need more people to come behind. And your mouth is so big that you need to have that training because you're gonna end up in jail. Just because we were fearless, Karen, we were fearless because we were young. Yeah. We did not know any better. So I'm going to tell you this brief story. We were marching at Trailways bus station because they didn't have any black. The only people that you saw that were African American in the bus terminals were janitors. They didn't sell hot dogs, they didn't sell tickets, they didn't do anything, they were just janitors. And Cecil took us down, he had the brilliance to take us down to 11th and Filbert where the Trailways bus terminal was. And African American people used to travel by bus. So the weekend before the Christmas holidays, Cecil had us go down to Trailways, and we were out there and we were marching and carrying our songs, carrying our signs, and because we were young, we didn't know any better. And the buses just kept going in and out while we were out there singing. And so Cecil said, you know what? You lay down in front of those buses. That's how we're gonna stop this. Now, I tell you, at my advanced age, I had no idea what, but it was something about, Cecil was military, it was something about the way that he said, lay down in front of those buses. We did not question it. We laid down in front of the buses. And of course, after we did that and stopped all of the traffic, because Philadelphia was a hub for Trailways, we stopped all of the traffic from coming in and out, and we tied up the whole East Coast with our demonstration. Greyhound said, you don't have to march, Mr. Moore. And the airlines came to 260 South 15th Street, which is where the headquarters was. The airlines came to meet with them, and I remember saying, well, Mr. Moore, shouldn't we do something? Shouldn't we maybe arrange, rent some furniture? Shouldn't we do something for these people? And he said, bring out those raggedy chairs that you all sit on, and that's what those, and if you know Cecil, he was colorful, I'm not going to say what he said, but that's what they're going to have to sit on those chairs. And the airlines, I mean, you got black pilots as a result of what? Cecil Moore. You got people driving buses as a result of Cecil Moore. So Cecil was a brilliant strategist, and I am just so proud and so humbled because my sister asked me, she said, "Do you remember when we came?" Because when we came here to march, they told us to be at 260 South 15th Street. At 4 o'clock in the morning, we were to convene, we were gonna go over the wall. And we would have done it. But when we got here, there were police officers all around the wall. And years later, when I was working at the school district, a lot of the retired police officers were with the school district now. That was their second job as internal security. And men were coming up to me and thanking me for their summer homes. thanking, because the overtime that they made as a result of watching children march set them up. So I just want to say I am so pleased to see these young people. I'm so pleased that the choir, you just touch my heart. And I'm glad that you are here, and I'm glad that we were able in some small part to do something in the city of Philadelphia.
Thank you, Counselor. She forgot to mention, I'm Richard Watson, by the way, but Vivian is an esteemed counselor, lawyer, provocateur, role model, anything that you could desire to have in a friend and a family member, and someone who speaks up for the public. She just a wonderful person. I won't give you all the accolades you rightfully deserve. All of my people here are my family. They are my spiritual family, political family, ostentatious family. My biological family lived less than 100 yards. I grew up at 2135 West Master Street, and this is my backyard, which I could never go to see. So, like, I'm speaking in metaphors because as an artist, May 1st, 1965 I was on break from my first year at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts as an artist. That was my first year out of high school into an institution of higher learning. And I went there because I thought I didn't have to study so much because I wanted to paint and draw. I didn't want to really enlighten myself philosophically or academically, but I had done that already in my first 12 years. So I'm sort of like a renegade kind of person, but I'm also conformist and a very inquisitive individual about all realms of existence right now, and I continue to be. And on May 1st, 1965, I was awakened to all of this clamor and noise around here, right here, behind me. And I was up there, about 125 yards away. And being 19 years old and being out for a summer break, I grabbed my sketchbook and came down here and I said, oh wow, I can draw all summer and I don't have to worry about it, you know. So that became my entree into a world of excitement for my creative future and also for my political enlightenment, because from that day, I thought about I would just be drawing around. I went around to the gate and that was really remarkable because the police around there were like ready for something. They're beating all of the things and stuff. So I said, wow, I stayed out there for about 2 days just sitting around as an observer, and I was excited about the picket line because the guys on the picket line were very, just chorally. That was this brother here who's going to speak later, right, this one. He didn't look that way then. He's just a young guy like me. But at the same time, you know, I was like only 19 years old. Kenneth was younger than I was. And so his voice resonated something of my own spirit because I came from North Carolina. The men in my family were gospel singers, so his voice just broke through the air just like a chisel, and I loved it. And so I just got into the rhythm of his singing, and I liked the rhythm of the people like Bernice and her young sister that are marching around. So I came back every day to draw people. And as a matter of drawing them, they drew me off the sidelines into the picket lines. And I had my sketchbook with me, and I couldn't draw and walk at the same time. No, like you can't walk and chew gum at the same time, a lot of us. But I got so excited that as a matter of taking a break, I continued to draw until maybe about the first week or so, walking home after I had been having a nice day of walking and talking and drawing, I was followed by the police who called me over and said, hey, what you doing? What you got? I was taken down to 17th and Montgomery for being I don't know what they called it then, a saboteur, that's what they called me. Because my handbook, my sketchbook had a label on it, it said handbook for saboteurs. You know what a saboteur is, y'all? Well, they have some today, but I'm not one. And I wasn't one then. I was an artist trying to do my job as an artist. And the police were out to antagonize the creators of the protest unlawfully. We were doing our own civil right to do. But I was taken to the taken to the police station. And I was only there for, like about an hour. You know why? Because Walt Palmer, a lawyer, Kenneth Freedom Smitty, Alma Nina Barber, who worked for the state attorney general, they came down in droves to get me out because they recognized my sovereignty as a free individual, a young 19-year-old guy doing nothing but drawing, and they tried to pin on me that I was some kind of foreign agent and all that. And then I became a foreign agent. I was foreign to their aesthetic about what I was doing, and I became a member of the Young Militants, as the group was named, the Young Militants. We weren't called the Cecil B. Moore Freedom Fighters then. We were the Young Militants. There were so many militant groups in Philadelphia at that time because, as you know, 1965 was like 2 years after the riots on Columbia Avenue when they tore up Happy Ridge Avenue. So it had settled down now. We were the dessert part of it. Because it was civil and it was peaceful and it was continuous and it was legal and it was represented by the Cecil B. Moore branch of the NAACP. So we felt authorized to do what we were doing under the protection of the law that is governed this country, or it did, or was supposed to, or hopefully it continues with that right. So, speaking on in terms of what we did, we were young enough to not know any better. And when you're young and don't know any better and you're doing the right thing, that's the best place to be. So my life was formed there. That summer was over, and when I went back to school, my instructors asked me for my drawings and my paintings and the things I was doing, and what are you going to do here? Are you going to be a painter or a politician? And I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a political painter. And from that day on until today, tonight, and tomorrow, and the rest of my life, I paint pictures, I paint murals, I write books, I illustrate stories, I tell stories, I document. And my life has been turned around by the involvement of my political beliefs, my spiritual values coming out of the South, knowing what racism is, knowing what police brutality is, knowing what justice is, has given me a route towards following my destiny. My mission is to be with my family. All of you are my family because I did it because I loved what I was doing and I loved the reason I was doing it. And when you find your reason for doing what you do and you love it, that is what your life is about, and that's what you were born to do. And this is my family, you are my family, you appreciate what we did. I'm standing in front of this mural, and there have been so many murals that I've done in this city and all over the place that reflect who I am, and this is a part of my backyard. This is the most adorned piece of work in my backyard that I've ever seen, and you are the front yard. I love you all, so continue.
Good morning. My name is Kelvin Kelly. I have a different story. I met Cecil B. Moore when I was a kid. I used to work at a meat factory on Columbia Avenue Quarry's meat store, and I always used to shine shoes. And he used to come around, and I used to shine his shoes. A lot of kids out here don't know about shining shoes, but we had a box of shine shoes for $0.25. And I used to shine his shoes, and he used to give me $1, so I was rich. And that was a lot of money back then. But I also really didn't know who he was as a kid. Only I knew was he was somebody that was respected a lot, and dressed good, and tipped good. But as time went on, I used to come up to Girard College with my mother, and we used to walk around the wall because my brother, Mel Dorn Shamrock, was a part of the Freedom Fighters. So we used to come up there, and as time went on, I got adopted and drafted becoming a Freedom Fighter. So I know my brother, as today, is sitting on top of this wall with his fists in the air saying, keep on fighting. So out of respect, I like for everybody to say his name on the count of 3 with their fists in the air and saying, Mel Dawn.
Mel Dawn.
Keep on fighting.
Keep on fighting.
The next song that I would like to sing, Morning. No, that's not the song that I want to sing. I'm just saying good morning. I did not expect to see all of these people. I really did. I said, don't nobody remember, don't nobody care, ain't nobody coming. Look at you. Thank you very much. Someone once said, I think it was this guy right here. Smitty, y'all know Smitty. He said that we loved you before you loved yourself. And then Smitty said, the first thing that I remember dramatically about the wall is I never really talked about it, but I'm still on top of that wall. And I looked over, just like Bernice said, and all I saw was the police that threw me back over. But I had somebody to catch me. Because the goal was not to integrate the school, but to get over the wall. I just wanted to see what the other side looked. Okay, they beat us up and they ran horses over us and they called us names and they didn't like us, but now we have bedrooms in here. They give us coffee and they give us nothing. And I don't want to talk long because I sing real good and I don't want to mess my voice up. But we appreciate, man, this honor. I never thought in a million years that we were walking down here because this was my route home. That this day would come and I would see this right here. And how many graduating classes were successful. And I would also like to thank the students that made it back. I love you.
I want to say hi to everybody here and to the children. Thank you so very much. Because you did have an order to speak for you and galvanize you. Cecil B. Moore galvanized us. Now, if you look around, you see a lot of the houses that are torn down. There were houses when I was a kid. You go down where I grew up at 23rd and Thompson Street, still looks the same. Did anybody get beat up? Did anybody get shot coming down here? No. I lived in a neighborhood, and this is still a neighborhood.
Amen.
In spite of what they tell you
Yes.
in the news every day.
Yes, that's right.
We live in a neighborhood, and people care about it. We started working, but let me say something about Cecil B. Moore. He made the little man think he could do something. That his fate was in his hand, if only we stuck together. And that's what he did. Be it 33rd Street, trying to get union jobs for black folks. Be it here, even though the post office was not his demonstration, we were all there. Back in those days, every organization supported every other organization that was doing something to open up the world for us. And I'm so glad I know that. And thanks to the councilman here.
Yes.
We're going to get a new Cecil B. Moore library.
Oh, Lord.
He needs our help. And we are with you on it.
Yes.
So, just want to say that. Many of us have been arrested out here. Some of us more than others. But something about the people in Philadelphia, especially North Philadelphia, which was the brunt of the people that were here, it was keeping it going. Little kids, kids younger than you, kids still in their mother's stomachs, walk this wall. So it's not just for us, it's for every person in Philadelphia that supported us, got us out of jail, and did the things that they had to do, and even telling people. And we didn't have Facebook, and we didn't have social media, but the word always went out. And something Cecil said, you always have to have somebody to document what's going on. If somebody's getting beat up, somebody needs to say something about it. And another thing I wanted to say about Cecil B. Moore, he was a wonderful man to me, and he inspired me till I found out that he wasn't a playing dad. I didn't want to call my father anymore. But just know that Mel would say we loved you before we knew you. We couldn't go to this school, but we knew we were out here fighting for somebody else to go. When we were arrested at the post office, we couldn't even get a job. We weren't old enough. So these are the things that we did as young people. It didn't stop there. The Board of Education, we were arrested and beaten at the Board of Education. Those kind of things happen. And I must say about the Philadelphia Police Department, with the Civil Disobedience Squad back in, that's what it was called back in the day. If they could protect you, if they knew you were going to be targeted by the uniform wearing police officers, they arrested you first to keep you from getting beat. Now, not to say some of them didn't lie on you when you went to court, but they did their best. So I just wanted to put that out there. We live in a neighborhood. I know those kids thought we were coming over the wall, but they didn't know we were young, we were fearless, and we believed. We believed we were going to make a difference, and that's what the difference is. Yeah. We believed, but we were vilified in the press. We were the worst people in Philadelphia, across the country, by the press. So just remember, when you're doing something, don't think everybody's going to be with you. Don't think everybody's going to help you out, because that's not the way it is, and that's not the way it was. And some people were upset because we were breaking a will, and that was sacred in this country. And some people did not want us in there, period. But we're glad we're there. We loved you before we knew you, and we will continue. Thank you. I want to say hi to everybody here, and to the children. Thank you so very much, because you did have an order to speak for you and galvanize you. Cecil B. Moore galvanized us. Now, if you look around, you see a lot of the houses that are torn down. There were houses when I was a kid. You go down where I grew up at 23rd and Thompson Street, still looks the same. Did anybody get beat up? Did anybody get shot coming down here? No. I lived in a neighborhood, and this is still a neighborhood. Amen. In spite of what they tell you in the news every day. That's right. We live in a neighborhood, and people care about it. We started working, but let me say something about Cecil B. Moore. He made the little man think he could do something. That his fate was in his hand, if only we stuck together. And that's what he did. Be it 33rd Street, trying to get union jobs for black folks. Be it here, even though the post office was not his demonstration, we were all there. Back in those days, every organization supported every other organization that was doing something to open up the world for us. And I'm so glad I know that. And thanks to the councilman here. Yes. We're going to get a new Cecil B. Moore library. Oh, Lord. He needs our help. He needs our help. And we are with you on it. Yes. So, just want to say that. Many of us have been arrested out here. Some of us more than others. But something about the people in Philadelphia, especially North Philadelphia, which was the brunt of the people that were here, it was keeping it going. Little kids, kids younger than you, kids still in their mother's stomachs, walk this wall. So it's not just for us, it's for every person in Philadelphia that supported us, got us out of jail, and did the things that they had to do, and even telling people. And we didn't have Facebook, and we didn't have social media, but the word always went out. And something Cecil said, you always have to have somebody to document what's going on. If somebody's getting beat up, somebody needs to say something about it. And another thing I wanted to say about Cecil B. Moore, he was a wonderful man to me, and he inspired me till I found out that he wasn't a playing dad. I didn't want to call my father anymore. But just know that Mel would say we loved you before we knew you. We couldn't go to this school, but we knew we were out here fighting for somebody else to go. When we were arrested at the post office, we couldn't even get a job. We weren't old enough. So these are the things that we did as young people. It didn't stop there. The Board of Education, we were arrested and beaten at the Board of Education. Those kind of things happen. And I must say about the Philadelphia Police Department, with the Civil Disobedience Squad back, and that's what they were called back in the day. If they could protect you, if they knew you were going to be targeted by the uniform wearing police officers, they arrested you first to keep you from getting beat. Now, not to say some of them didn't lie on you when you went to court, but they did their best. So I just wanted to put that out there. We live in a neighborhood. I know those kids thought we were coming over the wall, but they didn't know we were young, we were fearless, and we believed. We believed we were going to make a difference, and that's what the difference is. Yeah. We believed, but we were vilified in the press. We were the worst people in Philadelphia, across the country, by the press. So just remember, when you're doing something, don't think everybody's going to be with you. Don't think everybody's going to help you out, because that's not the way it is, and that's not the way it was. And some people were upset because we were breaking a will. And that was sacred in this country. And some people did not want us in there, period. But we're glad we're there. We loved you before we knew you, and we will continue. Thank you.
It is an honor to be here. I want to thank Councilman Jeffrey Young for this street renaming. It's written that in order to move forward, you must look back. That's right. Sankofa. If we're to move forward as a community, if we're able to move forward as a city, as a commonwealth, as a nation, we cannot forget the past that brought us to this point. While this school today represents a beacon of opportunity for children from all walks of life, it wasn't always the case. And while Stephen Girard was altruistic in some ways, we know he was challenged in others. I'm being polite. But it wasn't politeness that got us to this point. There were people who were willing to stand against the injustices of the past. There were people who were willing to walk, and the injustices of the past that were very real and ever present in their day. They are only past injustices now because people were willing to stand up against them. People were willing to march, people were willing to walk, people were willing to protest, people were willing to change the world to benefit young people, knowing that it would not benefit them because they were far past that time, but it would benefit future generations. And today, it still pays tribute. When you honor a street naming, when you allow people to understand the true history of how things came to be, and when we understand how things came to be, we are empowered to improve our present circumstances to make them how we wish them to be. This country, this city is not perfect and has never been perfect. But the miracle of our society is that we have constantly moved towards making it better. The freedom fighters did that. The freedom walkers who marched around this. I grew up hearing about it my entire life. It is incumbent upon us to make sure that future generations continue to hear about it so they can learn from their past, so that they can be empowered today to make our tomorrows better than our yesterdays. God bless.
Amen. The reason why we're here, right? So I'm going to read this official resolution from City Council that officially renamed this street the Freedom Fighters Way. So, whereas Girard College was founded in 1833 as an independent boarding school for poor white working males and remained segregated for over a century. And whereas the fight to open Girard College to students of all races was one of the key northern civil rights battles of the 1960s, beginning in the 19th century, but peaking in 1965 when the Philadelphia Freedom Fighters took direct action to desegregate the school. Whereas pioneering civil rights leaders Cecil B. Moore led the efforts to integrate Girard College, the Freedom Fighters answered his call by protesting outside the school's walls every day from May 1 to December 17th, 7 months, 17 days total. And whereas these protests were met with police resistance, with 1,000 officers lining the walls of the college, at the direction of Police Commissioner Frank Rizzo to bar entry of the freedom fighters, arresting protesters attempting to scale the walls of Girard College. And whereas days into the protest, the police turned to repressive tactics, including foot and motor charges into crowds, firing gas canisters, and running over protesters with horses. On August 2nd, 1965, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King addressed the protest at the front gates of Girard College, likening the walls of surrounding Girard College to a kind of Berlin Wall to keep the colored children of God out, right in the heart of the black community in the nation's cradle of liberty, Philadelphia. Whereas these protests led to the lawsuit that would integrate Girard College at the Supreme Court's direction in 1968, the first black students matriculating in September of that year. And whereas the freedom fighters were inspired by the fight against racial injustice in the South, where some have been even born, and when opportunity arose in Philadelphia, they picketed, sang freedom songs long into the night after spending the day in school. And whereas originally known as the Young Militants, many freedom fighters would don the moniker Freedom as nicknames that would last throughout their lifetimes, fighting for freedom and justice for communities of color in Philadelphia. And now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Philadelphia that North College Avenue between West College Avenue and Ridge Avenue shall be also named Freedom Fighters Way. Of this sign, in commemoration of your efforts and what you have done, not just for me personally, but for thousands of other kids and students in the city. Thank you so much. Your words really touched me because you slept outside on concrete for me. You didn't even know I would be here, but you did that for me. And that is like so moving and so touching, so inspiring, that I only have one thing to do, that's continue to put forth that same energy in this world to make this world a better place than it was when I was born into it. So thank you so much, freedom fighters. This is for you.
The freedom fighters were the backbone of the movement in many ways. Certainly Girard was part of it, but also, you know, they marched at every demonstration they could get to. And I think it's about time, high time, that they were recognized. And they continue to work, which I think is great.
My name is Carl Riley. I was one of the first 4 students who integrated Girard College back in 1968. I want to just thank all the freedom fighters for everything that they've done. This is a very special day for me personally, because without them there would be no me. I was able to go to Girard for 10 years, started in the 2nd grade, went all the way to 12th grade. And it was a learning experience. All the people that I met were my family, friends, and it's just a joyous occasion to come back and celebrate this joyous occasion. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marcia Fingal, and it is such an honor to be here today celebrating the Philadelphia Freedom Fighters. I went to the renaming of the street. My friend Freedom Smitty invited me to come down, and it was just so beautiful. I think it's really important to celebrate those who came before to make such a difference. And I do advocacy myself, so I feel like there's so many shoulders I'm standing upon, because these Philadelphia freedom fighters marched around this Girard College until something was done. 7 months, 17 days. Now that is commitment. That reminds me of Jacob marching around, the biblical story of marching around until the walls of Jericho came tumbling down. It seems as though that their lives have made such a difference. And I think that is really what we're all here to do, right? To do something that impacts the lives of other people. And they've shown it. They're wonderful examples of making change in the world. And I tell you, it's an honor to be here.
My name is Owen Gowans III. Today we're celebrating with the freedom fighters as they have had a street dedicated after them. And so we came to celebrate with them and for all that they did to allow me and 3 other boys, Carl Riley, he's here standing beside me, William Dade and Theodore Hicks. We all came into Girard College September 11th because of what the freedom fighters did. I went on from Girard College to Westchester, and now I'm presently retired, just retired September the 1st, 2024. But the thing about it too is that I would like to just say the sacrifice that Cecil Moore did and all the freedom fighters, I mean, we never can thank you enough. But we also want to thank our parents. Our mothers did a lot also. Now that I'm grown and have a grandchild of my own, I know what the sacrifice of our mothers did. And so we just want to celebrate the day. We want to thank everyone. And so God bless each and every one. Take care.
Hi, I'm Karen Asper Jordan, president of the Cecil B. Moore Philadelphia Freedom Fighters. And we were founded as Cecil B. Moore Philadelphia Freedom Fighters by Mel Dawn Shamlin. Today was a glorious day, and to be honored by the school that we helped desegregate. And just to let people know, we marched around here 7 months, 17 days, but the case was won in court. And Cecil B. Moore wanted to keep the eyes of the world on the hypocrisy of the city government, the state government, and federal government in practicing discrimination on black folks and other folks, other non-whites. It was a wonderful time for me. We came of age on the picket line. We did not miss anything. We had a lot of fun, we were exuberant, and we did not stop what we were doing. We were doing the same thing the kids of today are doing, going to parties, being serious, and having fun. But we were serious in face of what we were facing and what we were going to do. And in those days, you would find us in any picket line in the city, no matter what civil rights organization had a demonstration, the freedom fighters or the young militants were there. Today, I just felt like I was on top of the world. To see the young people, young babies, they were 3rd graders when this request went in. I think they're all in the 4th grade now. But young people are catalysts for change. And as young people, when we were on that picket line, we were catalysts. We were fearless. Not to say we were never afraid, because I know many times I was. But we knew we had a job to do, and we knew we were going to make a difference, because we believed. And the people that we followed and believed in, we knew they had our best interest at heart. And something about children, you can talk all you want. They watch what you do and how you say it. And when kids say they don't like you, they won't follow you, they won't. And we met many people on that picket line, and Cecil used to say, you know, you like all of these guys, you hear them speak? He said, but some of these guys will sell their mother out for $500. And we see that. And we saw that in a lot of people that we were around. And we didn't follow everybody. When we were arrested at the post office, Cecil said to us, you know, we were out there picketing, but do you know what the person said? He said, get me out first, and then we'll get them out later. We learned many a lesson. Another lesson Cecil B. Moore told us was, get your education, because you're kicking these doors in, but if you're not prepared and you're not educated, you can't go through those doors. The ones that did not march, did not give anything, will walk through those doors because they're prepared. And that's why we try to tell children to get your education. It's no shame in losing, no shame in losing. And it's no shame in stopping and feeling bad because you lost something. You can always make it better. You can always do something different. And I remember reading somewhere where it said, you know, the person may stop me from moving up, but he can't stop me from moving sideways. You always have something you can do. Stay in school. If you can stay in school till you get your master's degree without having to go to work, do it. Because once you start making that money, you're not going to want to go back to school or do some of those things when you can make it easier on yourself. And
my name is Kenneth Abdul Salam, also known as Freedom Smitty. and got involved in the movement at the age of 16, really 14 years old, after hearing of the death of Medgar Evers, who was killed in Jackson, Mississippi, June 12, 1963. And then after the bombing of the church in Alabama, killing the 4 girls, really opened up my eyes that something was terribly wrong in America. And I wanted to do what I could do at 14 years old. I just wanted to know what I could do to make things different for the African American people. And I quit high school, hurt my mother's heart, but I wanted to be on the front line 24/7, no skills other than having a desire to see people's lives get better. And as a result of that, I was, at Girard College the first day. When we first came here, May 1st, 1965, only about 35 of us. We came about 5 o'clock that morning, and we noticed there were over 1,000 police officers surrounding the whole complex. And this complex is 47 acres and with 10-foot walls. So you can imagine how many police officers you would need to secure 47 acres. And I'm telling you, they were toe-to-toe. And as one of my friends said, one of the freedom fighters said, that year, all the police officers had a lot of overtime, and they built new homes and sent their children to college because of what we did. But it wasn't an easy fight here. This was a day-to-day, toe-to-toe battle with racism, segregation, and discrimination. But we stood it out. At the time, Girard College was the longest demonstration in America, 7 months and 17 days. Every day, 24 hours a day, somebody was walking around these walls to let them know that we're here to stay and that we're not going to quit until the walls come tumbling down. And Dr. King, when he came here in August of 1965, one of the things he said, there's a wall in Jericho that had to come down, and the walls of Girard College will also come down. So it was a fight. It was a fight. I remember the second night we were here, some of us decided to sleep. Like I said, it was only a handful of us in the beginning, maybe 40, 50 people. And there's only 4 of us still alive today. Two of them are here today at this event. But it was only a handful of people here on the actual day, May 1st, 1965. So that next day, we decided to stay. We didn't want to leave. That's when we made that commitment that we were going to be here however long it took. So we had sleeping bags, so we slept out on the side of Girard College, on the sidewalk near the front gate. And what Rizzo, the police commissioner, he wasn't police commissioner then, he was the deputy police commissioner. And he ordered the police jeeps. They had jeeps back then, like military jeeps with Philadelphia police logos. He ordered the jeeps to turn back. All the jeeps lined up on College Wall Avenue, and they ran their motors, and all the carbon monoxide, the whole street was just smoked up, and a lot of us had to go to the hospital. So it wasn't an easy battle, opening the school up for other young people. One of the incidents that happened the second week we were here, the same police officer, Rizzo, ordered the motorcycle police officer to run up on the sidewalk and hit us. And it was a mess. It was a mess. So tooth and nail, as I said earlier, we stood our grounds, and lo and behold, a lot of us are not here today. But I'm here as a witness that it was a well-fought fight. It was a well-fought fight to see these young people now have an opportunity to go to a premier school. But people didn't realize that behind these walls, these children were getting a premier education from 1st grade to 12th grade. Food, clothing, shelter, medicine, exotic trips, books, etc. And they denied here was sitting in the middle of an African American community and were denying us the right to come in here. And Cecil B. Moore, under the leadership of Cecil B. Moore, who was a fighter. Cecil B. Moore was, they say you have to be built for the job. And he was one of the first Moffett Point Marines. And the Moffett Point Marines during World War II, they had to fight because they had to load trucks and things like that. They said, man, we Marines, man, we want to fight. So when Mr. Moore came here to Girard College, I remember one of the press people put a mic in front of him and said, Mr. Moore, when you come to Girard College, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to do just what the Marines taught me to do. We're going over the wall. So we thank you so much for all the people who supported us over the years. And we hope these children who now have this opportunity will go out and change the world that we tried to change.